Good morning. Oh, feels so much nicer. Right?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's only like 60 something.
Mm-hmm.
You getting flied?
Yeah.
Here. Load it up. Load it up and give them the business.
Windy.
Yeah, it's windy out here. I probably, honestly shouldn't sit out here for too long with the wind and shit.
I don't know. They're gonna be moving too much.
It's too windy. Kitten update. I mean, they're still up there. I called my mom and she filled me with the fear of God. She's like, you gotta get them out of there. They're up there pissing, they're up there pooping. They're probably riddled with fleas. Like, oh, fuck, here we go. Feeling any better? Just like, not much better. This is like straight up ass. Amarillo by morning. Isn't that George Strait? I think it is George Strait. I don't know how I got that stuck in your head, but okay. Oh yeah, I was singing it a few shows ago, probably. Wind is probably blowing pollen and right into your body. Oh yeah, it's like dust, pollen, shitty air. Got a grease trap to do today. Got some episode recording to do today. I'm just trying to get my energy up enough to do that. And then make it good, you know? Yeah, my mom told me about a few options or whatever. A lot of areas that have problems with feral cats have a catch and release program, and so it's just a matter of like, what's the best way to get them out of there? How do we try and catch her and the babies? Because that's pretty important. Because I just don't want to ship them off to a pound or something.
Yeah. I'm just asking for bottle feeding kittens a lot for a shelter.
Yeah. So I don't really know what the best thing to do is, to be honest with you.
It's not critical. Like, they're obviously being taken care of up there. It's not like they're gonna die if we don't rescue them.
Yeah, no, they're fine. Mom's moving around up there and taking care of them, so I just don't know what the I don't know. You're very cool, and so is Amelia. Yeah, she is. Thanks for the $10 jersey. What it do? It do. Your thoughts on the land back movement? I really don't know much about it, if anything at all. Capture, spay, and release, best option, yeah. I mean, that's the plan, is to try and maybe let them get a little older and then try and capture them. Take them to a place that'll spay and neuter. Hold them until they're old enough to spay and neuter, and then take them to the foothills or something.
Apparently, the previous tenant here was not good with his cats.
I talked to my neighbor just to make sure that like they didn't have outside cats, because we're gonna try and trap the mom. And he was like, "Oh, dude," he's like, "the guy that lived in that house before you had like 20 fucking outside cats. He just put big bowls of food out for them, and then when he left, he just left them here." It's like, so she's definitely one of his. Who knows how many litters she's had up in this dude's attic.
surprised he got away with it for so long without the landlord knowing.
I mean, yeah, who the fuck? I don't know. It's the idea that lands that previously belonged to and were occupied by indigenous people should be given back to them. To me, it sounds logically impossible and of questionable ethics. I mean, all of this land, that's all of it. That's all of the United States. All of the United States was the purview of Native Americans before we came here. So, is this like a go back to Europe movement or something for white people? Because I really don't understand how that's even. Because, yeah, it would be every inch of land from the East Coast to the West Coast, north all the way up into Canada, and south all the way down into fucking Central America and South America. It's all indigenous, all belonged to somebody else before.
All of Australia.
Yeah. I mean, it's just. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I mean, we could definitely take care of the people on the reservations. But stop taking further bits of their land with pipelines and shit.
Yeah. I don't know. Who knows? Amarillo by morning, up from San Antonio. That's what doesn't make sense to me. I can't tell from the rhetoric whether they want to make indigenous people landlords or whether they want people of native descent to move back there. Yeah, I don't know either. The whole idea of whiteness is a completely made-up idea. White people are the most mixed group of people out there. Skin pigmentation shouldn't matter at all. Huh? What are we talking about here, guys? What are we discussing? We're discussing the nuances of race this morning. Do I look like I'm ready to discuss anything of import? Yeah, dude, just let them open a few more casinos. That's fair, right? The truth of the matter is there's no fair way to undo the damage that was done to these people. There's no way that you can undo a genocide. There's no way that you can undo the effective ending of a way of life.
The best we can do is, offer help as we can and mostly just leave them alone.
Yep. That is one thing that I noticed on that drive, man, is like basically all the way from where we started to where we ended up is like Indian casino land. We had to pass at least like 24 casinos on the way up there, probably even more. It's like, it's weird to me too, because in the area that I grew up, in the area I'm from, like casinos are usually separated from like civilization. They're usually out in the middle of fucking nowhere. But as you go north into Oregon and Washington and stuff, they're right off the highway. They're like right in the middle of the city. It's just like, businesses, giant Indian casino. It's like, oh, not that that's a problem. It's just different from what I'm used to, I suppose.
Well, there is a whole lot of nothing that we drove through too. It wasn't exactly civilization.
True. There is a lot of empty nothing. I'm from the suburbs of Maryland, and I've never seen a casino. I don't know how it works elsewhere. I know there's tons of them down south, and there's tons of them out west. I don't know about back east. I assume that they're everywhere.
Jersey.
Yeah. Back on the road again, hoping to make it to the Southwest these summers. Casinos are amazing busking spots. They usually have gas stations I can jug at. Plus, natives are friendly. Yeah. In Oregon, they only let casinos operate on Native American land, which is unfair. Yeah, I don't know. Was that one that's like down in like right near where we were going? That big ass one, the Tulalip. Yeah.
We passed other ones too.
That was just like the biggest one. That one was huge. It looked like the size of like 2 or 3 Las Vegas hotels, just like a whole ass resort.
Oh, you might be thinking of a different one. Forget what it's called.
These flies, man.
Go eat the poop, not us.
Yeah, seriously.
There's a whole ass poop. There's plenty for everyone.
Yep. How many pieces have you owned in your life? Bongs, bubblers, etc. I have no idea. I have no fucking clue. A lot. Put on your slippers, baby.
Yeah.
Might help a little bit. Getting your feet. You know it's summer when the flies come out. Yeah. I'm pretty sure you can't smoke weed indoors in any casino, but I may be wrong about that. It seems like something they wouldn't allow, but who knows? Is it really fucking lawn time already for me?
Yep.
Have not kicked the bug yet. It's on the mend or whatever, but dude, I hit a low point last night. I gotta tell you, like I was one of the things that helps with the congestion and shit is sitting in a hot bath with the steam and shit. So I took like 2 baths yesterday. A second bath, I just feel like ass, you know. I'm getting up out of the bathtub and I hyperextended, like I guess not hyperextended. What is hyperflexed, I guess? My knee. So like I bent it too far this way getting up. It's not like I don't think I ripped a ligament or anything, but I definitely sprained it. And I'm just like, man, I went to bed last night being like, dude, I've become like a 70-year-old man. I'm 42 years old and I'm like 70. I just felt like so awful. I was just like, ugh, I'm sick. Can't even get up and down out of the bath without hurting myself. Just like, what is my future? It's a horrible way to feel. Morphing into an old man.
I mean, you and everyone else.
I guess that's true.
Getting older.
I guess that's true.
Health gets slightly worse.
I just felt like ass. And then I was watching Ric Flair, who's this old wrestler. He's got to be like in his 70s now. And I was watching him do like an exhibition match with somebody where they're picking him up and slamming him. He's picking people up and slamming them, and I'm just like, what the fuck, bro? This dude's pushing 80. I'm 40, and that would wreck me. If you considered water aerobics for exercise, or are you just too lazy like me? I mean, water aerobics, huh? I don't know.
I don't got a pool.
Yeah. No pool. That's problem number one. I guess I could join a gym that has a pool. I don't know.
Dude, fucking YMCA is predatory. I did that one time, like, oh, you know, we should get a pool. And, like, it costs so much money if you're too lazy to actually go and want to try to cancel. Like, a whole ass cancellation fee and shit.
Yeah. But he looked after his body, you didn't. I mean, he was a fucking raging alcoholic, drug abuser, like insane person, you know? Like Ric Flair was no, like he's not exactly like a fucking fitness guru or anything. It's got the Keith Richards genes, you know.
Yeah. That's really what it is. Comes down to is just genes. It's not fair.
There's that, and there's just like general lifestyle as well. Like even if he was drinking and smoking and snorting his way through it, he probably exercised every day, you know.
I mean, I have like an aunt that's like 90 something. She smoked 2 packs a day, so it's like it's a fucking toss up, man.
Jeez Louise. Got diagnosed with diabetes 2 weeks ago. That sucks, Pranav. You're only 190 pounds. Yeah. I mean, that shit happens, man.
It's better to find out now than when your toe falls off.
Yeah. I mean, you'd think you'd know before then. Let's see.
Got it.
Roll myself a little J. Just a small one today. Oh. That's another thing too. Is like, I got these like. Well, I guess I've got some in here already. Thank you. Some already ground. My A1C was 10.3. They said 4 and below was good. Jeez, I don't even know what that is, but that sounds pretty high. Yeah, I remember back when I was probably at my least healthy physically, when I was like about as big as I am now, but also chugging Monster energy drinks every day and eating way more than I eat now, way more unhealthily. I remember the doctor telling me that I was, quote, pre-diabetic, which is, I think they're just their way of saying, like, if you keep going down this road, you're gonna end up with diabetes. And I've got more blood work that's out. I'm gonna go to the doctor, but the last time I had blood work, I asked the doctor specifically. I was like, am I pre-diabetic at all? He was like, no.
Cholesterol is,
Yeah, my cholesterol is pretty fucked, but I got medication for that. roll one of those like little tiny joints that like
Yeah.
dispensaries will sell you.
Yeah.
It's fucking rip-off joints. You'll buy like a pack of 6 joints or whatever from whatever. It's fucking hemp paper. It's not gonna do anything. And then you get them and they're like this. You're like, what the fuck? Whose idea was this? Yeah, I mean, there's a lot you can do for diabetes. Diabetes can be mitigated in a number of ways. Diet changes and exercise changes and whatever. What's so bad about a half-gram pre-roll? Nothing. It's just like, you know, I've had some experiences at dispensaries and stuff, especially in LA. I remember when I went down to meet the guys. I was the weed man because I was the only one that had a green card. And this, like the first time I ever met TJ and Scotty and Ben and all that was in LA. Jeez, it's fucking wind. And yeah, it was before legal recreational, and so you needed to have somebody that had a green card in order to score. And they just gave me a bunch of money, and I went down to this dispensary in Studio City, LA. Dude, that trip was so fucking crazy. I remember I got an Uber down to the dispensary, and the lady was like, "Oh, I'm taking you to a dispensary, huh?" I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "You don't think you could get me something, could you?" I was like, "Yeah, what do you want?" She's like, "I just want a joint." I was like, "I got you. Well, that'll be your tip." I was like, "I'll get you a joint." So I went in there, and she didn't think I was going to come out with one. I told her, "You got to wait for me." So I was in there for like 15, 20 minutes, came back out, and there she was. So I got back in. She took me back. Gave her a J. It was cool. It was cool beans, man. It was a good human moment. But anyway, I remember I bought, like, among other things, I bought a pack of joints, thinking like it was going to be, you know, big fat joints, and it was these little stumpers.
I think it's just to like pace people, because a lot of people, they just have a big J like you make, it'd be way over their head.
I mean, I get over my head with a J that big. I can't sit there and smoke like a whole one of those to the head.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to have smaller ones.
Yeah, I think that's why there's like a push to get rid of the gummies and stuff. It's like so many people overextend themselves with those.
Mm-hmm. And see, that's something that's changed since they went legal recreational. Gummies used to be ridiculous. Like, super ridiculous. Hope you're feeling better. Slightly better. Thank you. 420 is tomorrow. Oh, yeah. The 36th anniversary of Chernobyl. Oh. I was watching a thing about Chernobyl the other day while I was trying to get tired enough to lay down and go to sleep. About how they built this big sarcophagus thing that's taller than the Statue of Liberty. They built it off site, and then they rolled it over the existing sarcophagus of Chernobyl. And that's supposed to last 100 years. It's supposed to keep everything, because like the first sarcophagus that they made around the reactor in Chernobyl was obviously done very hastily and without, you know, the right equipment, and like hundreds of people were killed just cleaning it up and building it and all that shit. And it was leaky. You know, water was getting inside of there and then seeping into the groundwater and blah, 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 blah. And so they were real keen on building another sarcophagus to go over it. But now, according to this thing I was watching, water is an important component in nuclear reactors, because it not only creates the steam, that's used to make power in these power nuclear reactors like Chernobyl was. But it also stabilizes and normalizes nuclear fuel. And so it stabilizes the reaction. And so now that they've got this new sarcophagus over it, the water's not getting in there anymore. Like less water is getting in there, and so the reactions are stronger inside of the nuclear core or whatever that's all melted down into the ground.
That's why they were freaking out so bad when the power got cut.
Yep. But yeah, there was actually a picture. They sent a robot down into the reactor core as close as they can get to it, and you can actually see the melted fuel. It's like lava that poured out of a thing and burned all the way down into the ground. But yeah, nuclear power is the way to go, though. Let's do it.
It's just like natural disasters are getting more severe and more outside their normal boundaries and shit.
Yeah.
Hurricanes are licking further up north than they used to.
Yep. If you ever get the chance, there's a video that shows the actual noise that occurs during the reaction. It's pretty wild. Yeah. Pretty crazy. It's just one of those things, like, nuclear advocates are always, like, wagging their finger at skeptics, going, like, you know, you can't base everything you know about nuclear power on Chernobyl. It's this, that, it's, you know, that would never happen today. You know, we've gotten better and yada yada. It's like, well, why does shit keep happening then? It's like you try and bring up Fukushima to them and they're like, well, that was a tidal wave. It's like, yeah, tidal waves happen, earthquakes happen, hurricanes happen, tornadoes happen. You have to, how do you prepare for one of these things when you've got a really intricate, really sensitive nuclear power plant that if it's disrupted in any way could melt down and just completely invalidate 100 miles around it? Like, this is...
It's like they literally have to be like near bodies of water just in case the worst case scenario happens. They have to like pull from a lake or a river or whatever to cool it.
Right. And it's just like these people just keep getting proven wrong, but they always have an excuse for why that was an outlier. It's like, oh yeah, 3 Mile Island, that was an outlier though. Oh yeah, fucking Chernobylsk, that was an outlier though. Oh yeah, fucking this, that, and the other. You name off each and every one of them was just like something that could never happen again. And it's like, how many of these nuclear dead zones are we going to create on the planet before we realize that we're playing with something it's too dangerous at our current level of technology? We don't have the proper technology to contain this shit. We don't have the proper technology to prepare for all the eventualities that might happen, let alone terrorist attacks and war and shit. Look at Ukraine. I mean, they've got fucking nuclear reactors in Ukraine. I remember a few weeks ago there was a story about, you know, the Russians taking over one and fucking... It's like...
And they only have a lifespan of like 40 years too, before they have to be shut down and sarcophagized or whatever.
I mean, I don't know if that's true. I think that they can like take the fucking cores out and replace them and shit. But the nuclear fuel has to go somewhere. We might have the technology, but we don't have the government responsibility to use it. I don't think we have it either. I I don't think we have the proper technology to ensure safe reactions in these places, and I don't think we have the proper government to protect people from the outcroppings of that. It's not done properly. I don't think we got either of them. So what, you know, what's the plan? Sure, ideal green energy, the most abundant and readily available form of energy right over our heads, the sun. If we poured all of our fucking technology and our human innovation and, you know, got together as a species, we could create insane solar farms that just get better and better and better and better with time.
The only problem with that is just like the power lines need to be updated, which they need to be anyways.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, that's why I say we gotta fucking come together as a species and redo the way that we think about power. These old, like, nuclear and coal-fired generators and stuff, like that's got us through the Industrial Revolution and shit. Got us out of the information age and into the internet age or whatever the fuck. Great. And now it's destroyed the planet. We got to come up with something, and we got this giant nuclear reactor floating in space right over our head that's just bathing the entire Earth in insane amounts of energy.
It should be free to put a solar panel in every house.
It should be not only free, it should be mandatory.
Yeah.
Solar should be how power is generated. I don't know that we can get enough from the sun. We can't right now. We can't because solar cell technology has not kept pace with a lot of other technologies. No, you're right. Right now, we can't get enough energy from the sun, but it's there. There it is. It's bathing the Earth. A lot of it's just getting reflected off of the Earth back into space and shit. Let's get it. No, let's just create the environment of the sun in a tiny little reactor. No.
We could do this crazy thing too, where we like reduce our power consumption.
Yeah, like think if we focused 100% of human innovation on solving the energy crisis, solving the fact that we're all utterly dependent on fossil fuels that are a finite resource. There's only so much of it left on the planet. We reached peak oil probably 15, 20 years ago. So we're now just like sucking. It's like when you get down to the bottom of your shake, you know, and you're like, no. You look down there and there's just a few lumps left, and you're like, oh no, man. I wasn't ready for this shake to be over. That's where we're at when it comes to fossil fuels. You know, I think it's the number one existential threat to every human being. I don't care what your politics are. I don't care where you were born. I don't care where you live. The degradation of the environment is the number one existential threat to humans. And so it's not just solar technology that needs improvement. It's battery technology. It's transmission technology. It's efficiency of our shit, you know. Battery technology, you have any idea what more efficient battery technology would do? It would change the fucking planet. Like, utterly change the face of the planet. You could have a whole house battery that's not even hooked up to an external power source, or only hooked up surreptitiously to an external power source in case of a giant emergency or something. But 99.99% of the time, your house powers itself. You've got a big ass battery room that just completely charges itself, regulates all of the power to hyper efficient appliances and gadgets, all designed to run at the absolute most efficient way possible. Now, you design that, you save the world.
Yeah. Like, think of how much power would be saved just by properly sealing houses.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, stop fucking building new houses and just fix the ones that exist. Get them properly sealed.
Why not
put
do
in,
both?
Yeah.
Why not come up with a new paradigm? Because people are like, look, the population's getting higher. Demand for these houses is through the roof, and there's not enough of them for people to buy, and they're all too expensive. Like, we need more houses. We need more construction. That's fine. I'm fine with that. Let's come up with a list of, you must do this if you're going to build a house. You must have dual pane windows. You must have properly hermetically sealed homes that aren't leaking energy constantly. That's it.
Fuck a high ceiling.
Yeah, and you have to have energy efficiency. Efficient equals less profits, yes. That's why I'm saying, man, this whole paradigm has to change. The capitalist paradigm has to end. Because there's no incentive to make things more efficient and at least energy efficient in capitalism. There's incentive to do less on R&D, less on development of new technologies, more on just absolutely maximally exploiting every little piece of resource that you need constantly.
Yeah, fucking power companies hate solar.
Of course they do. And they're like 15 million empty houses just sitting around, yes.
But they're fucked.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever gone house hunting, but when you go and look at one of these like tenant abandoned houses that you're talking about, or one of these bank owned houses where the bank seized somebody's home, they're typically just destroyed. So,
Where they have something so wrong with them that, like, there's a reason houses don't just sit for no reason.
I mean, some of them do.
Yeah.
Like right now, the banks are using housing like a commodity.
Yeah.
Which it is, but they're treating it like 100%. They're stockpiling it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But I mean, like, the active listings you see that sit for like 6 months.
Yeah.
That ain't for no reason. There's something wrong with it.
Mm-hmm. There needs to be a new Bill of Rights. And I think it was Eisenhower that talked about this. There needs to be an economic Bill of Rights that establishes a baseline for every man, woman, and child in the country. That you have an absolute and inalienable right to a home, to it was Eisenhower that talked about the military-industrial complex. You're right, it was FDR. You have a right to a home. You have a right to a good job. You have a right to a living. That needs to be the baseline. The baseline right now is people literally setting up tents. If there's a new Bill of Rights, it needs to include a universal basic income, a green housing stipend, and subsidies for wind and solar power. I mean, it needs, yes.
Not subsidies, just
Yeah, absolute guarantees of it. So here's the truth. You cannot live a an even semi-secure existence without a few things in this country today. A home, electricity, access to the internet. Those three things should be absolutely guaranteed. Well, obviously food as well.
Water.
So food, clean water, a home, electricity, and access to the internet. Those 5 things you can't live without it. Those aren't optional. If you don't have those things, you're living on the street. Your children are living on the street. You're living in the wilderness. You can't. So there needs to be a Bill of Rights that establishes an economic baseline that does not go below a certain point. Period. Dude, you want to be ashamed of being in this country? Go take a drive. Go drive around this country. Drive from big city to big city and tell me count the tents you see underneath overpasses and lined up along the side of freeways on public land.
You don't have to go far. Go like an hour out of your way or something.
If you just go into your nearest big city, take a look at it. And if you live in a big city that doesn't have that, know that they're exporting it. It's not because your big city is economically better than some other big city on the West Coast. It's because people that can't afford to live in your city are hustled out of town.
Yeah, we visited at that party. They're like, oh yeah, they just ship the homeless out of here.
Yep.
Just dump them.
Yep. That's when I used to live in Bellevue. You wouldn't see a homeless person, and I remember asking. I think it was Billy. I was like, "How is there like no homeless here?" He's like, "In Bellevue." I was like, "Yeah," and he told me he was like, "They'd round them up. Like cops will literally just come and hustle these people into cars and they drive them to Seattle." I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" He's like, "No, you're not allowed to be homeless in Bellevue. They shoo you away. You might see a homeless guy, you won't see him 2 days in a row." They'll hustle you right over to the right over the bridge, right over the bay or the sound or whatever that is. Right into Seattle, just dump you. Police have killed homeless people, oh, by the scores.
We probably don't even hear all of it because a lot of them don't have any like direct contact. So it's like,
oh my god, the amount of there's a dark untold history in the Western world of people that live on the edge, people that are just unnoticeable by society. They have endured some of the most horrible degradation that you can imagine. Just killed outright, raped, murdered, stolen from, exploited, packed away into fucking human trafficking of different stripes. I mean, you name it, they've experienced it. What about that Holocaust? What about the class Holocaust that's going on? Where these people live in like a dark version of the United States where nobody pays attention to what happens to them. Where they can just be gaffled up and taken wherever somebody wants them to be. Where they can just be kidnapped and exploited and... What about that? What about that's going on every day? See, this is what I'm talking about, man. I'm all about whataboutism, man. I think we need more whataboutism. Fuck it. I'm a full whataboutist now.
I mean, people act like multitasking's impossible.
Just come on. How could we even calculate it? We can't. Because like I said, they exist in a dark reality where the media doesn't penetrate very deep, where the statistics don't really count. Think about that. People live outside of the protection of the United States, but within it. They don't have rights. They don't have property. What little they do have can be stolen from them and taken from them at any second. What would be a good way to help integrate all those homeless people back into society? There's no one magic pill. We would have to fundamentally change the baseline of society. Number one, we would have to have immediate, United States-wide, federally funded mental health programs, including hospitals that are not torture dungeons, that are not places where we just lock up sick people, where people can get treatment, where people can get off of drugs, where people can be treated and integrated into society in various ways. We would have to stop the commodification of housing, at least at the bottom rung. There would have to be a federal housing program that owned a certain percentage of all housing in every fucking area, and that doled out housing, we'd have to build more efficient housing. We'd have to stop building out and start building up. All of the services that are needed to support that new housing would have to fucking exist. All of this shit has to happen.
Public transportation. Like, how many people can't get jobs because they just literally can't get to one?
Right. They live in a place that's like, 50, 60 miles away from any place that's hiring, and there's no way for them to get back and forth to it. We just have to establish a baseline in this country and enforce it. And if you tell me that there's no money for it, then I'm going to call bullshit. I'm going to call bullshit. There's money for bombs, there's money for drones, there's money for nukes, there's money for fucking submarines and boats and fucking planes and all this other shit. There's money. There's just no willpower to do it.
Yeah, like if you go look at the latest budget and see how much random shit is in there, that doesn't make any sense.
It's all pork, it's all garbage, it's all handouts, it's all corporate giveaways. We print our own money, exactly. Got a fiat currency. We can dump a fucking $1 billion into this, $1 billion into that, $1 trillion into this. You telling me we can't functionally change the bottom rung of society? Come on, get with it.
Yeah, it's like we have eminent domain. It's not like they can't take these houses.
Take them. Yoink them.
Like, there's a new...
Prioritize the ones that are owned by banks. Yeah. Find these big tranches of houses that are not even being used to house human beings, but are being used as speculated, like, property that they sit on and wait for it to grow and fucking... It's just take it. Seize it. If your fucking company can't exist without keeping people out of houses, then your company shouldn't exist. That's it.
Do you think there should be a law against owning more than one home?
I think that there should be I don't know. I honestly don't know. For a private citizen, I don't know. I think that there should be an elimination of landlording. Totally. I really honestly don't think anybody should be making their money purchasing property and then renting it to people. That just has to go. It's an exploitative system. It's garbage. It leads to the degradation of fucking neighborhoods and communities. It's terrible. It's all the way around terrible. So it's got to go.
Like vacation homes and shit.
I don't know. Maybe. I'm not great at the economics of everything. But it seems to me that there's a problem. If one person can own 5 family homes, that seems to be a problem. So maybe a limit.
2 houses.
Yeah. You can have 2 houses, and then every other house you own after that, you incur a tax penalty or something. I think eminent domain has to apply to everybody, corporations and private citizens alike.
Look at how many empty warehouses there are just sitting there.
Yeah, just empty pieces of land, empty fucking busted down old fucking areas that used to be vibrant are now empty. There's just so much wasted potential and wasted space. And it's all because people just sit on it like it's an investment or whatever. Oh yeah, we own this old fucking busted down building. They got no impetus to fix that up. But the neighborhood needs it. It's also vague. What's the arbitrary limit today? I mean, I admitted that I was vague on the fucking specifics of it. I don't think it has to be vague. I just think it's something that needs to be talked about. I don't think when you've got a significant fucking chunk of people living on the street, literally living in fucking lean-tos underneath overpasses, that people should own 10 fucking investment houses. I don't think that works, man. We need to change the way that we think about housing. This every man a castle kind of thing. It's just destroying us.
Here's what I don't get too. It's like the property taxes, like the property tax assessments are way different than the selling prices.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It's like fucking make the houses that. If that's the tax assessed value, then that's how much it should cost.
Yeah. Ooh. Yes.
Oh, your case is falling apart.
It's starting to separate a little bit. I'll have to get a new one. I shall have to get a new. What time is it?
You got about 20 minutes.
Oh, thanks, Jersey. I don't worry about the super chats, man. Some days they're here and some days they're not. And that's okay. It should be illegal to bet things we need as a species, such as housing, food, water, labor, and many other things. Yes. That's why there needs to be a baseline Bill of Rights that guarantees everybody in this country a place to sleep, a place of food to eat, electricity, a warmth, the basics that a human being needs to live. If we're going to expect people to go out and compete in the job market and shit, we have to give them a baseline to start from. You can't go get a job if you're homeless. You can't go get a place to live if you're homeless. They require like rental history and ID and shit that fucking homeless people can't get. You can't get an ID without a fucking address. You can't get an address without an ID. That seemed like a self-defeating fucking thing to anybody else but me.
You need transportation. Like, no job will hire you if you don't have like a transportation reliable.
Yep. It's just, you got to be able to, like, there has to be a first rung on the ladder, and there isn't one right now. You're either born on the ladder somewhere, or you're born at the bottom of it, and there's no first rung for you to get up out of it. That seem fair to you? Doesn't seem fair to me.
There's enough food for everyone. Just look at how much is thrown away every day.
Yeah, something like 50% of all food that goes to market to be used in restaurants or grocery stores is thrown in the garbage. 50% food waste. You gotta be kidding me. There's people going hungry. There's people digging through trash cans and shit. Come on. There's children whose only meal that they get during the day is the free school lunch they get. You kidding me?
Oh, and Biden just took that away too.
Yeah, isn't that great?
He solved child poverty, but only for a year.
Yeah.
And everyone's got to go right back.
You gotta love it. People just don't learn. People just don't learn. I swear, dude, if human beings learned from their own history, if they were just historically aware and knew how to make comparisons between things that are happening now and things that are happening, things that happened, the world would be a better place.
Yeah. Do you think history should have a way bigger, like, place in education? Like, bigger
Absolutely.
than math?
Absolutely. Math should be a fucking, like, specialty thing that people that have an aptitude for it should be funneled into, and that human beings that don't have an aptitude for it should learn the basics of. Learn your addition, learn your subtraction, learn your times tables, get through your See, in my mind, the whole structure of education needs to change. And I think we've talked about this before, but I think that K through 6 should be your general education. That should be reading, writing, arithmetic. A little bit of history, a little bit of science sprinkled in there, but your general basic, this is the shit you need to communicate with other human beings and to process information. K through 6. 7th and 8th should be where you separate aptitudes. That is typically the age by which kids have expressed their aptitudes in a certain subject. So if you are a math-brained person, you're funneled into an education after the 8th grade that's more math-focused. If you're a performer or an English, you have a literature bent, your education becomes that. So that 7th and 8th grade is when you're sorted out, basically. That's where you put on the sorting hat and find out what Hogwarts house you're in. And then your high school education should be like, you should be studying what you want to do for your life. You should be learning how to be a mechanic. You should be learning how to be an engineer. You should be learning how to be an actor or a singer or whatever it is that's your focus. So that by the time you get to college, you're ready to ascend to that next level and start really getting into the meat and bones. You don't have to take English because you've already gone through. Unless you're an English major, you don't have to take these ridiculous English classes anymore if you're not good at them. You've demonstrated through your K through 12 that you have a good baseline in English, good enough to read and write.
We don't even have that in this country.
No, we don't. If you're gonna go in a sec, babe, could you make me a cup of tea, do you think?
Yeah. I'll get you a cup of tea.
I need some tea. I'm gonna need some teas. We got some tea. We got like a tea sampler Amelia's mom gave us, and it was, every tea in there was amazing. Opened up my whole mind to the world of tea. Like jasmine tea. I like all tea, man. I've yet to run across a tea I don't like. I'm a tea sipping fool, man. What about TJ? Oh. Tea made from tree fungus? Sure. Do you put milk or cream in your tea? No. Tea. All right, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here.